So Dave was talking about how he talks during the week about fourth down situations and when they'll go for it, when they'll kick. But like, how much on game day does Graham's range fact? Like, do you have to kind of reconsider some of those discussions?
Definitely. I mean, it's because it's cold and the wind, and sometimes you guys don't really notice it, but in certain directions, like the wind is really a factor. And when you watch pregame warm-ups, and you're always making adjustments. So based upon how the wind might be particularly gusting, as the game moves on, either it might die down or it might pick up. It's getting colder, you know what I mean? Ball's not going to fly as far, so all those things have to be accounted for.
Now, he said after the game that in warm-ups, he wouldn't have been able to hit that second 50-yarder. But in the game, you guys adjusted because you realized the wind went down. So how much is that trusting a veteran, knowing how you guys have worked together, and knowing that it's not just, I can do it, and, and that's you have to see.
That's the hardest thing, because the kicker's going to always tell you I can make it, and you have to be realistic in the moment, and you got to be smart, look at the situation, where are we in the game, what's the score, knowing that, okay, if I miss this kick, the field position, you got to be smart in how you do it, and we trust Graham. Graham knows that he knows his range, and he knows the situations as they come up.
How does the indoor facility change your life and the three guys' lives?
Indoor, outdoor it really doesn't matter to us. We just show up and work. Obviously, when you're playing inside, you get an opportunity to come inside and get some work, and that's really, really good for those guys because they enjoy it. Obviously being able to strike the ball clean and not have to worry about the conditions and all that stuff. So obviously that's a specialist dream to kick indoors. But it does help us. There's obviously that place is different. The Meadowlands is different. Practice fields are different. The winds come in all different directions depending on what field you're on. How the wind, it's just different, and it's good for us because we get a chance to work in different environments, but being inside helps.
How much does it matter that field goal unit team, all kind of get along? I talked to a couple of them yesterday. They almost finish each other's sentences in a way and stuff like that. Like, watching a game, I don't think of that, but obviously you guys have to.
Yeah, the synergy part of it is huge. When you talk about the battery and those three guys in particular, like you said, they finish each other's sentence and they work so much together. They are around each other so much. Mm-hmm. From the time they walk in the building to the time that they leave, they're always around each other. So, the chemistry part of it is huge. Like right now, we just got out of a meeting and we sat in there for 25, 30 minutes just talking, and just talking about how we're going to approach things and what our plan is for today and how we're going to work. Okay, we're going to work before practice, we're going to work after practice, because so all of those things go into account, and those guys' chemistry is really, really good.
We've asked the players a lot about, you win, you might get in. Mm-hmm. As a coach, when you see the playoffs right there, does it get your juices flowing?
It's the day-to-day process. You can't really focus on what's down the road. You got to focus on the now, because if you take care of the now, everything else will take care of itself. So today, our primary focus is just to go out and trying to have the best practice we can have for the day. That's how you have to approach it, because if you get too far ahead of yourself and you start thinking about it, it's crazy. So we just try and stick to the process and just take it day by day.
You've been down the stretch of seasons, all different seasons,
mm-hmm.
and a lot of them around here lately have been. There is obviously no playoffs. You can concentrate on all the day-to-day stuff you want, but when the season's ending and everyone's going to go home. So do you find the vibe with your guys, and even the larger vibes, I know you kind of look at everything, that it's easier to keep these guys mentally in tune, focused and things, because they know there might be something else out there?
Yeah, that's human nature. When you're fighting and you're playing for something, you're just going to go out every single day and do the best you can possibly do. And I think our group has done a good job of that. Guys have stuck to the process, and that's what we're focused on, just trying to make sure every single day we're trying to find a way to get better.
How did Landon play on special teams? He's a guy who, obviously was a big-time player, and on this stage of his career to have to play special teams as much as he did.
He's getting his feet wet. You know what I mean? Like he probably hadn't played on special teams since he was at Alabama. You know, so but you know he played a little bit as a rookie, but he's just he's just getting used to doing it, and he's a good athlete. Landon's a big, strong man that can run, very instinctive, really good in space. So no, he's done a good job.
You've been around this league and you've seen how things have changed. Even now, you know, with the practice squads being expanded, so you have veterans who are around on practice squad, and then they're in your room.
Mm-hmm.
Is that unique also to have a veteran like that at this stage of his career? And do you sense like a different buy-in from some of those guys? Because you have a couple on this team.
Yeah, I mean, it's always good to have experience, you know, and especially guys that have been here in this building and that have had success in the league, and they're just good people. You know, guys that are pros, they come in, they work every day, and they're just trying to get better. And that's, you know, for us having guys that are veteran guys, you know, like Tony Jefferson, like Landon, you know, those guys are just tremendous people. And they come in, they work their tails off, and they help the young guys, which is really big for our, you know, maturation process of our team.
We've talked about it now. We've talked about it now. I feel like the same conversation for several years, but how much does Graham, in your mind, deserves to make the Pro Bowl? That's something that's announced tonight.
You know, I mean, his numbers speak for themselves, I think. You know, he's been in a Pro Bowl before. You look at him, he's 7 for 8, 50 yards, and you know, that's hard to do. You know, kicking in the Northeast, and you know, it's one thing to do it in a dome, or in the South where it's 75, 80 degrees, or you got a controlled environment like a dome. It's a whole other thing to do it here in the Northeast. Like it just takes a different animal. And you know, Graham is a hell of a player. He's a great pro, and you know, if he doesn't make the Pro Bowl, he's not going to cry. He'll be all right, you know. But no, it is. Obviously, you want your guys to do well, but you know, if it doesn't happen, it is what it is. But he'll continue to keep being Graham.
T-Mac, I have two more. I have two more, if that's okay. How much can something very small with that operation throw it all completely off kilter, even with veterans in those spots?
Don't say that. No, it's, you know, the smallest things make the biggest difference in our sport, especially with that operation. So all the little details of how we operate daily, you know, from the coming up, getting warmed up, guys getting in the right spots, they're taking the warm-up steps, they're you know, just all of those things that go into it, the small mundane things and stuff that the average person looks at is like, what is that? I mean, it's just the steps, being consistent with the steps and what hash you're on and all those different small, like, it makes a big difference. And you have to be detailed in what you do. And again, you know, just being off a little bit can make a big difference.
How about the idea, though, that when you're undercover, when you're in that dome, no excuses, it should all be perfect, right?
You know, that's what you want. You know what I mean? It should all be perfect, but you know, it's you don't have to deal with the elements, and that's the thing in the dome. Like, just you don't have to deal with the wind and all that stuff. So that makes the operation a little easier.